Hello and Assalamualaikum to our lovely fellow audience and our very respectful lecturer Muhammad Khairul Arif bin Noor. We are from Group 2 of GBA 253B and today we will present our group project in construction industry. So this is our group member. From the left is Nur Arisa Amali binti Ramaino and Idina Diana binti Izzaruddin and me, Nurliana Amira binti Muhammad Karnizam and Nur Safira binti Bashari and lastly Putri Tratal anak perempuan Sudin.
For our group project, we would choose construction industry because we know that this industry contribute a lot towards our development. According to Department of Statistics Malaysia, there are about 1.4 million of people who are working in this industry, and Malaysia has more than 100 of construction companies that registered under CIDB Malaysia. For current situation in construction industry in Malaysia, it is largely impacted by COVID-19 because we can see that in 2020, the GDP recorded contract to negative 19.4% compared to GDP in 2019, which is 0.1%. So, let us move forward to look what are the risks in this construction industry.
Fundamental risk is a risk that will affect the whole society or a large number of people within the community. Fundamental risk generally cannot be covered. Firstly, the COVID-19 crisis. During the Movement Control Order, only essential services were allowed to operate. The effect is, construction industry faces operational problems such as financial issues, project deliveries, and workforce limitation. Secondly, natural disasters. In Malaysia, flood and landslide happens every year. The effect is, it can damage construction, organizational business, and properties. Thirdly, climate change. The emissions of greenhouse gases from various industries and activities has led to climate changes, including the phenomena known as global warming. The effect is, the possibility of defects in building structures because the current structures may not be suitable and equipped to withstand the changes in the climate.
Health and safety at work is very essential to consider since it involves the right of all workers on their right. Fall from height are the leading cause of fatal accident. The danger associated with working at height can be separated into two categories, which are those arising from worker fall and those arising from the fall of object into people working below. The danger can occur on any construction site. Effect of falling at height may be injury or loss of human life. Next, a construction site is still a noisy place to work because construction sites are surrounded by high noise level from heavy equipment. Effect from noisy workplace can cause long-term hearing problems. Then, construction site collapse. Factors that lead to construction site collapse are falling material and equipment, trench collapse, and weakened structure due to excavation. The construction site collapse can cause loss of human life.
According to Investopedia, business risk is the exposure a company or organization face that will lower its profit or lead to failure. Firstly, increase in price for key materials. China dominates the market around 70% supplying key materials such as manganese metal and large slices of silicon. The effect is higher construction costs. Nowadays, the impact of COVID is impossible to predict with certainty. Therefore, any slowdown in China or global economy will likely increase the material costs. Secondly, disruption of supply chain and manufacturing operations around the world due to COVID-19. In the early stages of the COVID-19 outbreak, the activities of China manufacturing had fallen and remained depressed for several months. The effect is, many companies are at high risk of shutdown or bankruptcy because the industry of supply chain consists of multiple layers of business and some of them are SME companies. Thirdly, the construction industry is now facing shortage of labor due to the government suspending new intake of foreign workers and renew their permits. The effect is delay costs. Project delays may lead to potential claims by the owners for the delay.
So, market risk or systematic risk is a risk that the value of a common stock that falls due to the factor that will affect the overall performance of the financial market. So, the first factor is the economic variable like inflation, exchange rate, and tariff. So, the effect of the market risk to the construction resulting in lower productivity, poor performance, and also will increase in a high operation cost of the project, which is not good, and the cost of the project should be minimized. So, moving on to the second is systematic risk occur because of the fluctuation of the currency, which is very concerning if it is in an international project. When there is a fluctuation in the currency, the cost of the construction project might increase, and this is unfavorable as it will trigger the company's profitability of the industry. So thirdly, another cause of the market risk could happen because of the deregulation of the financial institution, which relates to the construction financing. Fundamental risks that occur like the pandemic, which has caused 42 billion losses in construction industry, leads to high unemployment, retrenchment, and most of the investors incurred losses in their investment portfolio, tarnishing the human happiness index.
Next is political risk. So what mean by political risk? Political risk is also known as geopolitical risk, which means that investment return risk will become affected due to the political instability. So what are the causes of political risk? First is power struggle among the politicians, which is it is a situation where the politicians want to hold the government or to shape a new cabinet. Second is change in government, which is a new cabinet shape in this country and they will control the country. And third is change in policy, which is it happen when a new government shape and they will restructure a new policy for this industry. Next is what are the effects of political risk? First is disapproved project permit, which is every company must get the project permit before they construct. Then changes in government may cause it difficult to get the permit to do the project. Second is less of foreign investor because political instability may cause the investor will lose their confidence to invest in this construction industry because it might give negative return to them. And third is change or delay in the project plan, which may cause the construction company need to restructure back their plan, and it might consume the company's time and also financial.
Legal risk is the risk of loss to an institution, which is mainly due to the defective transactions. A claim is made or some other event occurs which result in liability for the institution or other loss. Fails to take appropriate measures to protect assets owned by the institutions and change the law. Firstly, the cause of the legal risk is fines. The fines will be imposed to the contractor if they are negligent in their responsibilities, such as not caring about their safety at the construction site. Due to the contractor being fined indirectly, their reputation will be fall. Moreover, other companies will not dare and do not want to cooperate with them anymore. Secondly, the cause of the legal risk is late payment to the worker. There are many employers who are late in paying or not paying employees according to the agreed contracts. The effect is it will slow down the construction work of a project. When the project is slow to be completed, it will be more difficult for some parties because the party will take the problem to the court. Last but not least, the cause of the legal risk is improper paperwork. Therefore, the contractor must record and keep all proof of payment and receipt of money from any party, and also all change orders, evaluations, leases, and approval for the project constructions. In a big project, it involves many subcontractors with various submission and compliance processes, so the paperwork will be very cumbersome. Meanwhile, if it involves licensing and insurance, and there is incorrect documentation, it can lead to the legal issues.
Based on the risk matrix above, we can see that fundamental risks are considered as severe. Fundamental risks have an effect on the entire economy or a significant number of persons or organizations within the economy. In addition, the likelihood for fundamental risk can be classified as rare because it occurs but only in exceptional circumstances, and it will be highly unexpected like pandemic COVID-19. As we can see in the risk matrix, the impact of safety and health risks are considered major due to the frequent likelihood of the cases to happen. According to Occupational Safety and Health Department statistics, 169 died and 3,911 accidents have been recorded in the construction industry for 2018.
The impact is classified as major because risks such as increase in material prices, disruption of supply chain, and shortage of labor have a high weight on the completion of the project. Meanwhile, the likelihood is possible because most contractors in the industry have a solid cash flow to sustain the effects of the risk. For example, based on the annual report in 2021, the company recorded a profit after tax of RM276.4 million in the year 2021.
According to the risk metric, the market risk impact on the industry are identified as moderate. The moderate impact indicates that it may potentially bring negative consequences or pose a moderate threat to the industry, depending on the level of how bad the reputation. The probability of the risk occurring is possible, which may occur at some time. However, it may take time to recover depending on the consequences.
Political risk unlikely happen in Malaysia since could happen only for once in 5 years, and the government budget also once in a year, so that the construction industry do not worry regarding the issue that happened in Malaysia. Second, political risk also has moderate risk since in terms of financials, the construction company is still able to get financial contribution from the government and also traders.
Legal risk is considered a major impact, although not always happening to the company. Therefore, the company should emphasize on the issues related to the legal risk. If the company cannot manage the problem properly, it will be taken up to the court. Thus, it will damage the good name of a company and it will even have an impact on the revenue of a company. In addition, if it spreads up to social media indirectly, the company's reputation will fall.
Fundamental risk that was caused by the natural disaster, climate change, and pandemic might rarely occur but will leave a massive impact to the construction industry. However, there are several ways to mitigate this risk, and the risk management technique that can be applied is risk controlling, in loss reduction, and risk separation technique. So firstly, risk control loss reduction. Since fundamental risk is uninsured, the company can consider reducing the risk by coming up with the emergency fund, minimizing the risk exposure, and as backup disaster recovery planning. Then the company should control the risk by ensuring raw materials are in adequate amount, enough stock when operating to avoid supply chain disruptions. Secondly, risk separation. We couldn't avoid natural disaster, but the company might consider on the change of the location of the project, opening more branches in other states or places. It is very important to have multiple locations as the company can stock its stocks and materials and equipment safely.
Management technique that we can use to reduce safety and health risk in construction industry, especially in building, is implementing training in safe working practice, including the use and maintenance of personal protective equipment (PPE), the installation of guardrail and fall protection system, and ensuring that equipment is suited for the task. Not only that, the company also can correctly construct and maintain scaffolding. When erecting scaffolding, there should be no shortcut or improvisation. It should be built on stable ground with solid footing to eradicate the risk of it collapsing. Be sure to maintain and repair any damage or inconsistent of the structure, as well as ensuring that all employees using the scaffolding have an adequate level of scaffolding safety training.
Suitable risk management plan is risk control. Potential exposure to risk and their impact are relieved. Generally, A construction company should firstly establish a well-defined contract. Secondly, an internal audit plan. And lastly, develop a strong control structure. For example, referring to the annual report in 2017, IGM Corporation Berhad have already established several audit committees to mitigate risk.
One of the risk handling methods that can be used to mitigate a market risk is risk control. Market risk could happen unexpectedly, hence as an investor, in order to be prepared the uncertainty, they need to control the risk, like control the stop loss in the investor portfolio and ability to compute the expected return. The ways to measure systematic risk from the investment context, firstly by using the value at risk VAR method, where measure the potential risk exposure of the portfolio versus loss that could occur at a given confidence level. Secondly, another method that can be used to make investment decisions is by using the capital asset pricing model, CAPM method, to identify the return and any relevant risk for all assets. The company or the investor could determine whether the stock is undervalued, overvalued, or properly valued.
For politic risk management techniques, there are three phases that can be used in construction industry. First is pre-project phase, which is it is important to make the correct decision. So the risk management technique that suitable apply at this phase is risk transfer and also risk avoidance. Second is implementation phase, which is to help reduce the unnecessary mistake. So the risk management that's suitable for the second phase is risk adaptation and also risk reduction. And third is post-event phase, which is it help during the emergency change of the operation. So the risk management that's suitable at third phase is risk elimination.
The suitable management technique that we can use to reduce the legal risk in the construction industry is documentation organization. The company should change from using a paper document to a digital document that everyone can see regardless of time and place. In fact, it can reduce the case of loss of documents and it will be more organized. Then, the company must appoint a contract administrator to ensure that the contractor does not run away until finish the project. With the contract administrator, we can sue the contractor and possibly get back the payment that has been paid.
In order to minimize the risk faced by the construction companies, they should choose the Takaful products that will help them when they are faced problems. So the first Takaful product that the best suitable for construction companies is construction all risk product, which it provides a comprehensive coverage towards the organization with the minimum coverage is 250 ringgit. The construction companies also can choose the time period of purchasing these Takaful products. So the benefits of buying these Takaful products, it will cover third parties. First is damage due to the unforeseen physical loss. Second, third parties liabilities such as bodily injury, loss of belongings, and also illness.
The second product is Contractors or Risk CAR, Takaful by Zurich Takaful. This Takaful product is to provide protection in the event of damage and loss to a company. It must be related to contract work at the contract site. In addition, third-party claims that arise in connection with the construction of the project. To extend the protection, the standard certificate can be expanded to cover strike, riot, and civil commotion. The total premium depends on the risk exposure, the sum issued, and the underwriting requirements from the insurance company.
Based on the fact discussed above, we may infer that the construction industry has the greatest influence on each risk. In order to decrease the possible risk in construction, the organization must have an efficient strategy like have a Takaful or insurance product since these products safeguard both parties. The benefit of having the Takaful product is that it allows the firm to pay the cost of accident caused by the possible risk mentioned above. Aside from that, the Takaful product is another technique to assess the likelihood of a risk occurring in the firm.